A 17-year-old with a loaded shotgun almost made it onto a plane. A student pilot facing prison time after landing a helicopter in a bird nesting area. And more aviation news on this episode of Taking Off. Hi, I'm Dan Milliken. In this episode, a helicopter pilot faces jail time. U.S. Space Force tests a space plane. The FAA shuts down parts of Florida airspace after a SpaceX explosion. Boeing's CEO admits culture change will be brutal. And another general aviation pilot gets an F-16 escort out of a TFR. And we will get to the 17-year-old with a gun trying to get on a plane in Australia. But first up, a student pilot is facing potential jail time after landing in a bird nesting area in Florida. In May 2024, Ernesto Cordero, a 53-year-old at the time student helicopter pilot from Bradenton, Florida, landed his Robinson R-44 helicopter, the four-seater that's the bigger brother to the R-22, the helicopter I just recently did my training in. He landed the R-44 on a protected bird nesting site at the Egmont Key State Park in Florida. This area is home to thousands of shorebirds during their breeding season, including species like black skimmers and sandwich terns. Cordero claimed he detected a fuel odor mid-flight and decided to land as a precaution. However, he did not report any type of emergency to air traffic control, and witnesses reported seeing a female passenger exit the helicopter to take photographs before they departed. For those who don't know, student pilots, whether in a helicopter or fixed-wing aircraft, cannot carry passengers on their flights. Only instructors or FAA-designated pilot examiners can fly with student pilots. The landing caused numerous protected shorebirds to flee their nest, potentially harming the eggs and chicks. Consequently, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission charged Cordero with harassing a protected species, a misdemeanor, and issued citations for landing an aircraft in a state park and entering a closed area. However, that's not where the charges stopped. Further investigation led to the discovery that Cordero was flying others in his helicopter from a dock behind a home in Marathon, Florida. Investigators learned Cordero was planning to land at Tampa Executive Airport, where they were able to stop and question him, and Cordero admitted to flying passengers as a student pilot. He was charged and pleaded guilty to operating as an airman without the required airman certificate by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Sentencing has yet to occur, but Cordero faces fines up to $250,000 and/or imprisonment for up to 3 years, and we'll see where that ends up. In the early hours, March 7th, 2025, the U.S. military's secretive X-37B spaceplane concluded its 7th mission, touching down at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California after spending 434 days in orbit. Launched aboard a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket, the Falcon variant with the 3 boosters strapped together side by side, from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in December of 2023, the unmanned X-37B embarked on a mission shrouded in secrecy, conducting various military experiments. The United States Space Force released an image from this mission just a couple of weeks ago, a rare occasion to see the top-secret spacecraft in orbit. It measures 29 feet in length with a wingspan of nearly 15 feet. The reusable Boeing-built spaceplane has been pivotal in testing advanced technologies in space. And during this mission, it demonstrated the ability to alter orbits using atmospheric drag and conserving fuel. What else the U.S. military may have been using the spaceplane for, we don't know. But Boeing, the maker of the spaceplane, is in the news again. The much beleaguered aerospace manufacturer got a new CEO this past fall with the mandate to change the culture. And while acknowledging that the company's management culture needs a major change, Kelly Ortberg made it clear, speaking to employees, that there are serious issues within the company, including poor communication and a disrespectful management culture. He said, "We're going to put an action plan on those things, and I think they're going to be brutal to leadership, quite frankly." He talked about how important it is that all workers Feel free to voice concerns without worrying about reprisals. And this talk from Ortberg comes as Boeing faces some tough financial times. They lost $12 billion in 2024 alone. He continues on to admit that the 160,000 employees worldwide, that the culture switch results will show in the marketplace. And with all the problems from the 737 MAX, the 787, the Starliner, and now the delays in Air Force One, the industry would benefit from a strong and competitive Boeing. So I hope Ortberg can turn it around. Speaking of space, on March 6, 2025, SpaceX conducted its 8th test flight of the Starship launch vehicle, aiming to advance its mission of developing a fully reusable spacecraft for missions to Mars and beyond. The test involved Booster 15 and Ship 34, launched from SpaceX's Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas. The Super Heavy booster, equipped with 33 Raptor engines, performed its ascent phase successfully. After stage separation, the booster executed a boost-back burn and was successfully caught by the launch tower's Mechazilla system, a significant milestone in SpaceX's efforts to develop reusable rocket technology. However, approximately 8 minutes into the flight, the upper stage, Ship 34, encountered a critical failure, and 4 of its 6 engines experienced premature shutdowns, leading to a loss of attitude control and subsequent loss of telemetry. This malfunction resulted in the spacecraft's destruction over the Caribbean Sea, with debris observed falling over parts of Florida and the Caribbean. And something to note, this is the second flight of the V2 version of the Starship and the second explosion over the Caribbean for this variant. The previous successful launches were the V1 version of the Starship. The Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, responded by temporarily grounding flights at several Florida airports due to falling debris hazards. Despite this setback, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk referred to the incident as a minor setback, indicating that the next Starship prototype would be ready for testing within 4 to 6 weeks. On March 8, 2025, a civilian general aviation aircraft violated the temporary flight restriction, that's a TFR, established around President Trump's residence in West Palm Beach, Florida. This incident, reported by the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, marks the 20th such airspace breach in recent weeks, categorized as tracks of interest. The majority of these violations involve civilian general aviation aircraft, prompting swift responses from the U.S. Air Force. F-16 Fighting Falcons, F-15 Eagles, and other fighter jets have been dispatched to intercept and escort unauthorized aircraft out of the restricted area. Despite the TFR being active for weeks and publicly accessible through multiple sources, including the FAA website, flight planning tools like ForeFlight and Garmin Pilot, and notices to airmen, NOTAMs, general aviation pilots continue to enter the restricted airspace. The repeated violations have drawn attention to the frequency of these incidents and the challenges associated with ensuring compliance with airspace restrictions. Now, on to the shotgun-carrying teenager. On March 6, 2025, a significant security breach occurred at Australia's Aviation Airport, which is located near Melbourne in the southern portion of the country. The incident involved a 17-year-old male who is yet to be identified attempting to board a Jetstar flight to Sydney armed with a loaded shotgun. Disguised in high-visibility work attire, wearing a tool belt, the teenager circumvented standard security protocols by cutting through the perimeter fence to access the tarmac. Aviation Airport is Melbourne's secondary airport. It's a Class D airport serviced by just one operator, Jetstar, using primarily Airbus A320s, similar in size to the Boeing 737. The Class D airports are smaller, usually located inside metropolitan areas with a lot of flight training, private jet traffic, and on occasion, a regional jet service. And what makes this airport unique is that it's home to Australia's biggest air show, held every other year. Upon approaching the Airbus 320 aircraft, the individual was stopped by a flight attendant, and when he was confronted, the teenager became agitated, and that is when Barry Clark, a passenger and former boxer, saw something he thought looked suspicious.
I saw the barrel butt, and when I saw the complete gun, I said, we're in trouble here. But I knew that if I went to the side and pushed the gun away from him, at least if it went off, it would go off on the side of the plane and there was no one there.
According to Barry, he snuck up behind the 17-year-old and pushed the gun and the flight attendant in different directions before putting the 17-year-old in a lock with his arm behind him before pushing him to the floor with the help of the pilot and others. Dramatic video recorded by some passengers show the moment the 17-year-old was forced to the floor. The teenager was reportedly carrying a kit containing a shotgun, sharpened tools, a fake bomb, and in the video you can see the shotgun in two pieces. He now faces multiple charges, including unlawfully taking control of an aircraft, endangering the safe operation of an aircraft, carrying dangerous goods, and perpetrating a bomb hoax. At this point, authorities have not charged the 17-year-old for terrorism, which would involve extremely serious and stiff penalties. This incident has raised concerns about airport security protocols in Australia, especially at regional airports like Aviation, which as a Tier 2 facility lacks a permanent police presence. Simon Westway, the chief of the Australian Airports Association, emphasized the necessity of consistent safety measures across all airports to prevent similar breaches in the future. In response, Aviation Airport and Jetstar Airways are collaborating with authorities to enhance security measures, ensuring the safety of all passengers and staff. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has reaffirmed the robustness of Australia's airport security systems while acknowledging the need for ongoing vigilance. In Australia, you technically need an ID card to access all airport ramps, to be inside the fence, as it were, but it's rarely checked. And by the way, it's being reported that Jetstar is offering Barry free flights for the rest of the year. Way to go, Barry. We are thankful to Barry, the pilot, and the flight attendant for taking action to prevent any harm to the passengers and others from occurring. Well, that's our aviation news roundup. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our sponsors like 67 Designs. They're the best camera, cell phone, tablet mounts for your vehicle. I've got them on my plane, and I love them. I use them in my car as well. 67d.com. Check them out. We have our other sponsors in the links below. And here's a report we recently covered. Thanks for watching. Remember, superior judgment trumps superior skills. Take care.